Hello, everyone. Dr. Stillman here, joined by Jim Laird. Today, we are going to be talking about exercise. I'm sure all of you realize that everyone in the health and wellness world talks about exercise in the same breath as health and wellness. And we all know that they do that because exercise is a part of a healthy lifestyle. But the problem is sometimes not that people are not exercising enough. It's actually that they're exercising too much. So today, Jim and I are going to unpack what healthy exercise really is, what we recommend to people for achieving optimal performance, longevity, et cetera, how this plays into lifestyle, environment, things like that. And then we're also going to talk about overtraining syndrome, which we see on a regular basis and often have to really work hard to get through to patients or clients, as the case may be, about so they understand what it really is and how it's impacting them. So, Jim, you want to dive in by defining what you think healthy exercise is?
Well, I think first I'm going to talk about my experience of what I've seen over the last 25 years and my own personal experience. Over the last 25 years, a good chunk of what I do, I have those people that have basically let themselves go and aren't exercising at all. And we all know exercise is great. It's like a drug, you can take too much of it, just like anything, right?
And it is actually like a drug. I mean, you do get the release of endorphins, endocannabinoids.
Sure.
People need to realize that means they can be as irrational about exercise as they are about, say, their favorite drug of abuse.
Right. Or sex or anything else. Right.
Sure.
So literally, I've made my career out of helping people that have had a bad relationship with exercise or are not getting the results they want from their exercise. And big part of that is I used exercise and sports for years to manage an anger issue I had. I had some stuff in my childhood that I needed to deal with. And when I was a child, the pastor at my church was like, your boy acts out in the school all the time. Instead of investigating why I was doing that, he's like, just put him in football and wrestling. And of course, I started kicking everyone's ass. And yay, good job, so that reinforced that. And then when I was done football, I started powerlifting, right? And so I basically was using powerlifting to manage this anger that I had and all these things that I needed to deal with. And I would train like a maniac. And eventually one day I ended up getting ulcerative colitis because I was driving myself like crazy. I was working long hours. I was training like a maniac. I was taking stimulants. I was taking performance enhancing drugs to prop me up. And basically I hit the wall and I was like, okay, stress is a huge component of this. So I started looking into it, couldn't sit still for a minute. Once I started sitting still, I understood why I had to be so busy all the time because all this crap started bubbling up that I needed to deal with, right? And I'd been pushing it in the closet for 20 years, and one day the closet just burst open. So that gave me a perspective on exercise being used to basically deal with dysfunction. And so for over the last 25 years, I've had, for example, there's a girl named Rachel Matthews who I worked with. You can Google my name and her name. There'll be a podcast pop up. Here's a mother of 3 working 3 jobs, pharmacist, like super successful, super intelligent, working out every morning at 5 a.m., is gaining weight. And the coach tells her she needs to do 2 classes a day. And luckily her friend was smart enough to send her to me because I'd kind of gotten a reputation for working with broken people. And we were able to dial her exercise back to more strength training type exercise, do lifestyle stuff. It took years of basically me, she talks about it on the podcast, how she'd complain, well, this isn't going as fast as I'd like. And I'm like, well, have you been making time for yourself? Are you taking a bath? Are you going for a walk? And finally she got in, like really bought in, and her before and after is absolutely insane. I had another lady named Suzanne Waldrop. If you basically Google my name and her name, we've done podcasts together, running marathons, gaining weight, and using that marathon running as a managing stress. And eventually she just got to the point where she was so frustrated that she wanted to change and came to me. I had another lady who is a doctor, like a high level doctor, like actually runs an entire division at a hospital, was so addicted to training. The only time she ever felt good, and of course, this lady had multiple children, her husband's a doctor too, tons of stress. The only time she ever felt good is when she would go to these classes that were like an hour and a half long, And of course, loud music getting screamed at, and she'd feel great for that hour. And of course, the next day she couldn't get out of bed. And it was almost impossible for her to stop doing that. Like, she continued to do it and continued to do it. And it was very difficult to get her to understand that what she was doing to herself, and she was almost like a drug addict. So we've got, exercise is wonderful, but it can be very addictive. And, I've dealt with lots of eating disorders and anorexics and all that good stuff. Our society is kind of like looked at like exercise is this wonderful thing, but it can be just as bad as being an alcoholic. It can be just as bad as being a drug addict.
If this video has been helpful to you, make sure that you check out my link tree below to find out how you can keep in touch with me best. And if you would like to become a patient at my practice, please apply to work with me at stillmanmd.com. Thank you again for watching. Have a great day.